Wow, you see, that was an amazing debate. I think I showed a little bit of greed today. Hopefully Brendan can turn me around. The last cookie in the jar.
I want it.
No, I want it. How about we share it?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight I am going to prove to you that generosity does overcome greed. People who are generous and not greedy set an example for others to follow. Helping people encourages others to do the same. Giving to others who don't have what you have ensures that more opportunities will come your way. So things seem to always work out for people who are generous. Many people who have everything find that giving generously allows them to feel a sense of achievement far and beyond their chosen field of endeavour. Examples here are Bill Gates, Warren Buffett and Oprah Winfrey, who all give away millions of dollars every year to the poor and needy. The truly generous person knows how to use money and possessions well for the benefit of others. He who dies with the most stuff loses. Greedy people might not take up the same opportunity to help others and will find that the more greedy they become, the bigger the greed gets. They then take more than they give, and this leads to true unhappiness. An example here is Bernie Madoff, a Wall Street stockbroker who swindled over $100 billion from investors and who is now serving a 150-year prison sentence, proving that greed does not overcome generosity. It gives you a pretty sad life. Generosity is not just limited to rich people. Many Australians every year give up their most prized possession, time. They volunteer to do many charitable jobs and roles, such as the SES, bush firefighting and life-saving. Greedy people are lazy and don't care about other people's well-being, but often complain when things don't go their way. He who dies with the most stuff loses. Being greedy is one of the 7 deadly sins, and in pretty much all religions it is seen as something very bad. The opposite of greed is generosity, and the opposite of a sin is a virtue. So that means that greed is a very terrible sin, and generosity is a very noble virtue. Generous people support good causes like World Vision's 40-hour famine, sacrificing certain things like food, speaking, and using furniture for 40 hours and raising money for people in need all around the world. Greedy people only think about themselves. The more they have, the more they want. Greed takes and generosity gives. Greed is an animal instinct, while generosity is a spiritual instinct. Everyone needs to live a life that can be measured by how generous and caring they have been in that life. They will have led a far happier life than those who have taken more than they have given will. A past Prime Minister of Britain, Winston Churchill, once said, "You make a living by what you get, but you make a life by what you give." Now for my rebuttal. Speaker 1 from the Negative Team told us there was a story about greed and how people will rush for the unchipped cups. Well, I rebut this by saying, where'd you get that story? How do you know that's true? Good. I hope I have proven to you that generosity does overcome greed. And remember, he who dies with the most stuff loses. Wow, Brendan, what a fantastic debate. Now we have Speaker 2 Lily on the Negative Team.
It is a known fact that 20% of the world's population uses 80% of the world's wealth and resources. This supports the belief that greed overpowers generosity. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight I'm going to prove to you that greed does overpower generosity. Our team theme is, Earth provides enough to satisfy every man's need, but not every man's greed. A great example of greed is when former Chinese leader Mao sent food to Russia to obtain nuclear weapons while his own people starved to death. Another example of greed is when former president's wife of the Philippines, Imelda Marcos, had thousands of pairs of shoes while the native Philippine children went without shoes. The Newsweek magazine even listed her as one of the greediest people of all time. Have you ever wondered why there are many more people willing to take than there are to give in the world? It's because the capacity to give has limits such as quantities of money or time, whereas the capacity to take has no limits. Therefore, there are many more people willing to take than there are to give in the world. A couple of you might have read in the newspaper about a journalist who wanted to do a report on greediness. So he went to an affluent area with lots of businessmen. He dressed up like a homeless man and had a cup for money and got a couple of donations. The journalist noticed that the businessmen, who were obviously quite wealthy, looked at him and laughed. It was the people who didn't look as wealthy that gave him a donation. Many of you may have heard of Robert Mugabe. He came into power in 1980, and ever since then, the people of Zimbabwe have suffered dramatically. Mugabe killed his enemies of the Natabele tribe and let his own tribe, the Shona tribe, live. He promoted his friends and took away the white people's farms and gave them to his friends, just so he could increase his power. Mugabe also excessively takes money from the people of Zimbabwe. Isn't it amazing how the greed of one man, Robert Mugabe, has done all of this? This brings us back to our team theme, Earth provides enough to satisfy every man's need, but not every man's greed. In the world, lots of food goes to waste and lots of people are obese. People should stop taking more food than they need, and we could stop making as much food, because if you think about it, there are so many people in third world countries dying from hunger while we just keep eating too much food. And now for my rebuttal. Speaker 2 from the opposition said that greedy people are lazy and they only care about themselves. Well, my brother is greedy but not lazy, and also he cares about me and my baby brother and sister. Speaker 2 from the opposition also showed in his act that both of them wanted a cookie. That isn't greed that they were fighting over a cookie. Maybe both of them were just hungry. Now, next time you are being greedy by taking too much food, or you just have to have the newest phone, think about this. If we don't all stop being greedy, there might not be anything left for the future generations.